The older I get, the more I realize men have no idea how to live beyond 25. If you're anything like me, you were forced to grow up overnight. Multiple unexpected deaths and a single man working 5 jobs will do that to you. My childhood was stripped from me. I went bold young, didn't feel as though I fit in with the typical nightclub scene. I couldn't dance, stayed away from alcohol because of football, and not many women under 21 are out looking for a skinny broke kid. Once the pro athlete route didn't materialize, I realized career success was the only hope I had left. I gave up everything to turn my life around. No more video games, no entertainment, stopped religiously following my team, in bed by 10 PM on a Saturday night, listening to drunk people in my alleyway, driving to the gym, 5 AM on a Sunday, watching those same drunk people stumble home. Good news is, it paid off. Better news is, I found my crowd and discovered something I coined, the other side of male life. Bad news was, it took around 10 years to reach this phase. This is why I call those middle years purgatory. You give up sports, video games, partying, women, and even friends in order to achieve a better life. You fall out of love with immature habits that entertain the masses, but you're in limbo. No one your age sees the fun in the new way that you're living. The ones who do are in their 30s and 40s married with kids. No one taught men how to live in the between years whilst they're building. Fed up of partying and late nights, but not ready for a wife and kids. You end up spending every weekend by yourself working. The only time you leave the house is to go to the gym or buy food. It's hard to find new like-minded friends, and you're not established enough to date the women you actually want. Sure, you could settle for the sake of not being alone, but you'd be lying to yourself, showing weakness. It begs the question, if you mature quicker than everybody else your age, and you don't want the standard early adult life, what do you do? So I think this is a serious problem. I don't think after a certain age, I said 25, after 25 men don't know how to live. Do you know what, truth be told, for a lot of guys, I genuinely think it could be 21 years old. But after 25, it's almost a guarantee. A lot of men have no idea how to live. I faced it myself. It was one of the hardest things where, like, I'm not being biased here, but this is what 1M International, you guys know 1M International with Granada House and all the events around the world and the future plans we have for it. I was with the guys the other day and I was saying before that there's a lot of guys that weren't there yet, and I was saying to 3 of the guys at the table, what would you be doing today? Gym, working. I was like, I'd be working. And it was just like, if we didn't have this, what the hell would we be doing? And, you know, things like that are important because years ago, honestly, it got to a point for me where it was like, right, I'm going to hustle and grind. I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to get myself to a higher level in life. I'm going to sacrifice women. I'm going to sacrifice my social life. I'm going to sacrifice my friends. I'm going to give up everything. I'm just going to focus on this one pure thing, which is business and gym. But both of those tasks are pretty solitary. Okay, when you're going to the gym, you pretty much go on your own. Okay, you might have a gym partner, but you pretty much go on your own most of the time. When you're working on your business, it's mainly you on your own, just working. You know, it might be 9 to 5 success, and yeah, you've got friends in the office, employees and whatnot, but it gets vicious. Everyone goes against each other. Yeah, you might go for a beer after work, but they're not your friends. You don't hang out with them on the weekends. You know, your whole life just revolves around Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 on the weekend. What do you do Saturday? I had a chill one. That's what I always heard every guy say, I had a chill one. The girls would go out. I met with my friends. I went shopping. I met my mum. We went for a coffee. Me and the girls just sat in Knightsbridge and just had some food. Guys, it's just like, what did you do this weekend? Had a chilled one, watched the football, played that new video game that's just come out. And it's just like, fuck, man, people aren't doing anything. Do you know why? Because it's a zone, as I said at the start of the video, of purgatory. If you don't do the standard life and you don't say, do you know what, I'm going to settle down, find a woman, have a couple kids, get married, whatever. There's not a lot for you to do during those years unless you figure out the other side of male life. And that's why I made that video years ago about the other side of male life, because if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's one of my best ever videos, The Other Side of Male Life. I say it myself, but it is unbelievable because it just taps into this like consistent thought when you're at a certain age of like, what's next? What do we do? Nobody teaches you this. And in that video, I would mock the younger years. I would mock like people with a car with a loud exhaust, you know, going to the pub, getting drunk, just getting smashed out of your mind. And I used to say that there's another side to male life that nobody gets to live, because here's the standard male trajectory of life, okay? You come out of school, you go and get a job, you maybe come out of university, you go and get a job. You get to a point where maybe you're 22, 23, you start realizing, actually, I'm fed up with being drunk, I'm fed up with going out every single night, I'm fed up with eating shit food, playing video games, doing whatever it is, wasting my time. You know, for a lot of guys, it's later in life, but let's just say it hits you at like 24, 25, something like that. And you go, I'm going to save for a mortgage, right? And that becomes your whole thing. You're driven, you're powered by the idea of just saving up some money, just putting that money in your bank account, saving it up, and like achieving a better life, achieving a life that seems like this mystical goal of like, I will own my own piece of land. That would be in my name. So you do it, you chase after it, you go after the money, you finally get to the point where you have enough money to put a deposit down the house. You buy that house. What the fuck do you do after that? What the fuck do you do after that? You honestly just sit there in this new house and you just go, okay, now I need to go and get some furniture. And it's exactly what they said in Fight Club when Brad Pitt's character, Tyler Durden, is like, the things you own end up owning you. And that's what people don't understand, is like, you chase after this valuable asset, which is the house. You then buy furniture for that house. Then you just fill spaces in that house because you're bored. You don't really know what you're doing. And, you know, you invite people around now and then, but most of the time you're in that house on your own. And, oh, it's a 3-bedroom. You can only sleep in one. What's it for? And you realize the next checkpoint of life is maybe just meet a woman, get married, have some kids. And each stage of the way, it's just like, where's my life? My life just revolves around all these other people. I'm just providing for all these people. And I remember guys that I used to work with in finance, they use their kids as an excuse. I was like, what are you doing this weekend? And they'd say, another birthday party. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And they were like, it keeps me busy. They liked it. It was an excuse to not have to go anywhere or do anything. It was an excuse to go to bed early. It was an excuse to live a normal life. And look, I think wife and kids, I think it's, you know, a great goal for men to achieve. I think especially, you know, just the family unit itself, minus the marriage, I think is just like the ultimate goal. Having a beautiful woman that loves you. You've got kids. You don't have to tie it in with the legalities of marriage. But, you know, you've got that unit of people that love you. I think that's amazing. But at what stage did you really live for you? And that's what so many guys struggle with, is we get to a certain age, and if you don't want that, if you don't want the mortgage, kids, wife, settle down, have a normal life, past a certain age, there's this middle gap of purgatory where if you're the first one to mature, which I was the first one to mature in my group, where I was like, I don't want to go out and get drunk anymore. I don't want to sleep around with women. I want to sleep with one high quality woman that I think is better than all the others. I want to build something valuable. I want to build a business. I want to explore where that can go. I want to reinvest myself. I want to see how far I can take my life. Chris, do you want to come out and get drunk? I was like, no, I'm going to get an early night and hit the gym. What, are you gay? That's what I'd always get. Or like, oh, what's the point? Like, just wasting your life, really. You're just sat at home, you're doing nothing. Aren't you bored? And here's the problem. In the early days, no, I wasn't. In the early days, I was enjoying the hell out of myself. But here's the biggest issue for guys, is you will get to, whether it's 9-to-5 success, whether it's business success, whether it's just working on yourself and trying to improve yourself and just continue living your normal life with your normal work or whatnot, your normal income. When you work on yourself, you alienate yourself from everybody else. You go against the masses. So when they're all out drinking, partying, enjoying themselves, you're in. Right at the start, it's great. It's like, I'll show those motherfuckers. It's a few years down the line where you go, everything I do on my own. For a lot of people, the gym carries their life. You know, we saw this in COVID. When gyms were closed and you couldn't go to the office, people were like, what do we do? You had people on YouTube doing pub quizzes. People were doing quizzes on YouTube to pass the time. People were bored shitless. Nobody had anything to do. Nobody knew what to do with their time. If they couldn't go to the pub, couldn't go to the gym, couldn't go to work, they realized their entire lives were revolving around those three things, and they exposed it massively. And so many young men have that problem where we don't just go for a coffee with friends and have a chat. We don't just go in we don't travel. Like, I remember when I was young, I used to say to my friends all the time, like, because I was making good money before other people were, and I was like, let's go to Paris, go and watch Champions League game, and I'll pay. but nobody ever really wanted to, because I just don't think guys see it as like, what, four men going to Paris. We're not very sociable, and it leaves you in a limbo, like I said at the start of this video, where everybody your age just wants to go out and get drunk. You're focused on other goals. You can do it for X amount of time, but then it just becomes lonely. And now everything you're doing, you're on your own. You go to the gym, you're on your own. You go try and socialize. Like, I used to go out on my own and just mix in with people and whatnot, and it used to work. But like, you know, you're going on a couple of dates, but you've not really got like a woman in your life. And then when you do get a woman, you're obsessed with her. You just spend all your time on her because you're like, I don't really know what to do with my time. But then you're not at the point yet where you want to have kids and a wife and settle down. You're just in this purgatory zone. And I think there's a lot of men that are in there where it's like, it gets to Saturday and you go, or Friday night and you go, great, I don't really know, I'm not really going to do anything. I'm just going to sit, cook some food, go to the gym, come back. And it looks like you're giving this impression to the world that you're like this pillar of responsibility and accomplishment, and you're in shape and you're a healthy man, but you're bored. You're bored, you have nothing to do, you're almost just aimlessly moving through life waiting for the next major checkpoint, and you don't even know what it is and when it's coming. And there's so many guys in that limbo stage. Now, I figured it out. There's so many ways that I live now that solve this for me. And it's surrounding yourself with like-minded men, number one. Having high-quality women in your life that have their own things going on. They're busy, they've got work. You two plan to meet up twice per week. You go for meals, you go on holiday, you do all these sort of things. But as a solitary man, as a solitary individual, it was very much like I would just get up and go, like, instead of working from home, I would go and work from a coffee shop. You know, and marathon mindset, this is why I deployed it, because you just talk to everybody. You just drop one little line in, one little line here and there. You just talk to everybody. Before long, people just start gravitating towards you. You make friends without realizing that you've made friends. You have so many people around you that want to talk to you every single day. And you give this impression of having like a buzzing social life. The next one was 1M International. You know, the guys in 1M International, there's over 120 guys in there now. We've been doing this for a year. We've met up in Budapest, London, Granada. We've got a whole calendar planned very soon. Those guys I hang out with all the time. I mean, I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've had 7 1M International guys in this house this week alone, and we're only on, what, Wednesday? Like, that's because, do you know why? Because they're similar. We talk about similar things. We don't go out and get drunk. We want to sit and work. You know, you're sat side by side with 3 guys working on different things, discussing ideas. You know, you surround yourself with a great team of people. It's the only way to do it, because what a lot of you guys will find is that it's like a relationship. 90% of relationships fail before 30, when you get together before 30. I would say the same with friendships. I would say if you're meeting people at like 12 years old at school and you're like, the thing that you're bonding over is sports, porn, immature humor, fucking around, women, video games, whatnot. Once you maybe get to, let's say, 25, and you want more in life, you want something different, you're going to go separate ways, you're going to be completely different. And I think so many people base their entire lives off who they are when they were young. And I think that's what puts them in purgatory, because as soon as you try to make a change, the old life that you had and the old people that you knew and everything that you were doing before is not congruent with the new you that you've become. So now you're almost starting again. And it's very misleading, because it's like nobody's going to be the same at 40 as they were at 14. But if you're going to go on that solitary route and try and chase success and go down that whole path, you're going to have to alienate yourself from people, because most people don't want to do it. But then you get this second wind where the people that you meet post-purgatory, who are very much like you, want to do the same things as you. So the guys that I hang around with now, where I'm like, let's just go to a restaurant, sit and all have a chat. We did this today, 3 of us today. We were working on business stuff. We went out, got a coffee, went and sat and had a chat at a restaurant. And we were talking business, life, whatever, having the time of our lives, laughing and joking. When I was younger, that would have been 10 beers. That would have been everybody get drunk. You know, and everybody in that group is in a long-term relationship. So it's like when they get home, they've got their beautiful missus, they've got their kids and stuff like that. You know, I've come back, I'm working on this and whatnot, but I've had a social life today, I'm with the guys, now I'm working. So I'm alone now, but I have people that I can see all the time. People always come and see me. I've got this base here in London, which most people don't have. So it becomes almost a beacon. When you arrive in London, you're like, you're around. So like people are coming to you. It's almost a very good life setup, which is a major factor. When you're young, you don't have that level of life setup. Maybe you're working from like your mum's basement or something like that. Makes it very difficult to be able to, have that social life. And like I said, men post a certain age, they don't know how to live. But if you can understand life setup, if you can understand framing, if you can understand the marathon mindset, if you can understand the other side of male life, maturing quicker and saying, I'm going to position myself in a place where the people I actually want to be around are going to be in those places long term anyway, I will have everything that I require. And everything that I named there, everything, life setup, framing, marathon mindset, everything that I went through, it's so important, guys. It is so important. Like, the other side of male life, like trying to figure all of this out young is important, because people talk about youth. Youth is like active youth, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, everyone gets on your back and goes, you need to sort your shit out. It's like maximum 7 years. 7 years where you can really do cool shit. From 16, when you're probably old enough to like make your own decisions, go out with the boys, stroll around, date girls, whatnot. Probably 22 where it hits you and you go, fuck, money's important, assets are important, becoming a man of value and accomplishment is important. That's where it hits men hard, and then they go and focus on themselves, but they got nothing to do. There is nothing to do. Men don't know how to socialize. Like, you think Christmas, right? I was saying to a guy, there's a taxi guy that I know from my hometown. I arrived in my hometown, he picked me up, and I was like, you okay? You seem really low. I know him from the gym. And he was like, yeah, I just hate Christmas. And I was like, mate, here's the thing. I was like, I do too. And I was like, do you know why we hate Christmas? Because we don't drink. We don't go to the pub. I was like, we don't care for Christmas movies and all the garbage. We don't eat shit food. I was like, for everyone else, it's an amazing celebration. It's an excuse to, family is important. I love seeing family. But it's an excuse to live like a bum. It's an excuse to wake up late, sit around, fucking masturbate all day, eat as many sugary treats and chocolates as possible, do nothing, watch TV, drink beer at 9 a.m. and nobody questions it. It's literally an excuse to live like a moron, and everyone's going to celebrate you and go, it's Christmas, enjoy yourself, put your feet up. I was like, because we're not like that, because we don't want to do it, that's why you're pissed off, because you don't enjoy Christmas. And he sat there, he chuckled. He was like, thanks, man, I needed that. And I was like, we're in the same boat. Like, that's like-minded people who don't want to do the basics. I've said to you guys before, the cheapest, most fun thing you can do is probably getting drunk. No, do you know what? The cheapest, most fun thing you can do is probably play video games. Number 2 is get drunk. What do most people do? And TV. They watch TV, they play video games, they get drunk. What is like the other side of male life? Well, the other side of male life, and I'll give you a perfect example. This house that I'm in right now in London, this area here that I've turned into a podcast area, filming area, if I wanted to entertain, that's the aim of this, I would entertain. So I would put some seating in here, I'd put it all around, I'd put some coffee tables in, some really nice furniture. I would go and get some really nice food. I would invite a girl over, and I'd invite a couple that I know, maybe 2 or 3 couples that I know, and there'd be 4 couples here. We'd all be having a discussion, get some music playing, cook some food up, serve it out to everybody, small little glass of wine or something maybe, or a cup of coffee, and then you do that for 3-4 hours, you're all having a nice conversation, then you're right, like, lovely to see you, off you go. Now, that might not be your cup of tea yet, but in the future it will be. I'm telling you, like, that'll be something that you'd rather do. All my friends now that are on my level, they're like, we should do a double date. We should go away as a couple, like me and my missus, you and your missus, we should go somewhere, we should all have a good time. Like, that's what gets celebrated. Now, here's the hard part. First of all, you have to have the house. Number 2, you have to have the cooking skills. Number 3, you have to have the social skills. Number 4, you have to know furniture and how to decorate it. This shit takes time. Number 5, you're going to have 4 or 3 other couples. Number 5, you're going to have to attract a woman. You don't have to do it. You could have guy friends around and whatnot. But just in that scenario, you're going to have to attract a woman. Then all of your friends or the people that you know, you're going to have to meet them, get to know them, respect them. They're going to have girlfriends. And then you can invite everyone round and have like that get together and have some food and have a drink and have a talk and have a chat and whatnot. That's where your social life comes from. That's the other side of male life. To get to that point, it takes a lot of experience, a lot of money, a lot of hard work, a lot of dating. It's tough. Cooking skills is not easy. It's not easy to do something like that. My old neighbours when I was growing up, they must have been about 50 when I was growing up. They had like this massive patio area, and they'd have all the nicest furniture, cutlery, you know, the expensive cups and stuff like that. And it just felt different. It just had like a really good vibe to it. And we'd all sit out in summer and they would like entertain everybody. They'd get like the whole neighborhood round, and you can't do that for cheap. You can't do that in like a studio flat. Do you know what I mean? You can't do that with just like two beanbags on the floor. It's going to take a while to get to that level, to be able to produce that level of life setup, to enjoy that level of social life. This is why guys fuck up. All we've ever been taught is Saturday, wake up, have a wank, eat some shit food, watch the football, get the boys round, have some beers, go out and get fucked up, try and get laid. It's just like, you know, over Christmas, I remember people used to be like, I've been out 11 days in a row, mate. Been on it, smashed out of my face. I've had about 15 beers a day, 15 pints a day. And I did a line of fucking coke. It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, that was celebrated, and people were like, mate, you're crazy. Fair play. Nice little back slap. It was weird. I remember that so much. It was so weird. And nobody ever says to men, do you know what? Do you know how to really live? Do you know how the majority of your life is going to be? Do you know what the next 50 years are going to be? Do you know like how high level men actually live? You have to learn all of this stuff over time. And that's why I called it the other side of male life. And this is why I think so many men are just living in purgatory, because as soon as you get sick of that first lifestyle, I don't want to get drunk. I'm watching this sports team. Like Manchester City, that's my team, right? I waited all my life for us to win the Premier League. We did it, waited longer to win the Champions League. We won the treble. And then I was like, right, next season, what happens now? Same again. Go and buy the new shirt and season ticket. Go and watch all the games again. Waste all your time and money. And I was like, fuck, I didn't get anything for that. I watched all of that happen and I didn't get anything. The players became more famous. You know, our centre-back is now dating Maya Jama. Do you know what I mean? It's like, am I dating Maya Jama? No. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just look at it and it's like, they got more famous, they got richer, everyone got more credentials, they got medals. The fans just got bragging rights. And then next season they expect you to do it again. And you look at all that and you go, do you know what? This is fucking pointless. I'm just going to focus on me. I'm just going to build myself. I'm just going to focus on everything that I'm doing. But then that alienates you, because how boring are you as a man if somebody goes, do you want to watch football? Don't really watch football, mate. Do you want to go to the pub and get drunk? I don't really drink. Oh, you're fun, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? That's what it becomes. They're like, so what are you going to do this weekend? And you're like, I'm probably just going to stay in. I'm going to go to the gym and then just come back, stay in, just kind of like, you know, work on this idea that I have. Okay. And then I'm probably going to go to bed at like 9, get an early night, get up and go to the gyms again, and then back to work on Monday. I'll just clean the house all day Sunday. People are just like, what the hell are you doing? But you're like, I'm moving towards something better. I'm working on something. Like this isn't normal. Nobody else wants to do it. It's considered boring. So who do you do it with? Who do you hang out with? There is no one. But it's the other side of male life. You have to work towards something great to find your people. And here's the thing that we noticed with 1M International. There's not many people on that level. There's not many people who want to be part of an international members club, strangely, who want to be part of an international members club, who want to travel the world, be surrounded by like-minded guys, want to be in shape, want to be super successful and want to chase after something. But then when you put those guys together and they all hang out and go and do cool shit, like go and sit at a rooftop bar in summer, you know, like we all go to New York, we do a massive meetup, we have a massive meal, you know, we all sit there and chat about life and whatnot, and everyone's just hanging out and going doing cool shit. Maybe we got tickets to a fight or something. Maybe it's something like Canelo versus Crawford. That's something that high-level men can do together. Do you know why? Because it's a little bit more expensive. I mean, it's all paid for by us, but you know, that's a little bit more expensive. That's a little bit harder to do. I know Canelo Crawford's in Vegas, by the way, which is on the plan. But, you know, you just think like that's a little bit more expensive. You can't just go grab like a 2-litre bottle of Strongbow, sit in the park and just be like, last night was amazing. You know, the quality of female becomes higher. So then it becomes a lot more difficult to attract. You actually need some social skills. You're not going to be able to just walk over with some tattoos and be like, hey, come here. You're all right, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the level that it takes a lot of guys to get to. Everything is low-hanging fruit. It's easy to achieve. It's easier to chase after. you distance yourself from that, you go after more, you get put into purgatory. And that's when I think men go, I've been going out getting drunk, going to university, fuck, real life starts now. What do I do? And you continue for a little bit until you get so bored where you just go, I don't want to do this anymore. So then you drop those habits because you know they're not good for you, but then it alienates you from your friends who are still doing them. So now you're on your own. And it's not until you find like-minded people that have done the same, and they're all scattered all over the world. Like I said, 1M International, all scattered all over the world, but you find each other. That's what happens. You find each other because you're very similar to one another, but it takes time because there's not many. And there's a lot of guys out there right now that are lonely, who are waking up every single day, going to work. People go, oh, it's the weekend. Yes, it's the weekend. What's your plans? And they're like, not a lot, really. I'm just gonna kind of sit in the house and work on my business. I'm just gonna have a chill one. I'm pretty tired. And it's like, it's not, they just got nothing to do. But once you find cooler shit to do, like if I said to a woman now, do you want to go to Paris for Valentine's Day? They're gonna say, yeah, right? We go for a nice meal, we go and watch a show. Like, that's the kind of buzz that I get now. Whereas a lot of people, it's like, I remember when I was young, it was like Valentine's Day. Fuck women, let's jump on a video game. I'd rather be playing whatever than dating women. You just get to a certain point where you're like, no, I would actually rather be on a date with a woman in Paris. I'd rather be doing something really nice. I would rather go and watch a show in London. You know, I'd rather meet up with a couple that are friends of mine with a woman by my side and we go on a double date. Do you know what I mean? We go and do something like that. Or I go and meet up with 3 or 4 close friends of mine in the area and we go, who are all like-minded, who are entrepreneurial, and we all go for some food, have a little catch up, grab a coffee, have a little chat, you know, talk about what's going on, and then everyone shoots off their separate ways. Maybe one person comes with me, goes to the gym. I need to squeeze a session in. Yeah, no worries, mate. That's so much more enjoyable to me now. Like these other things, and that's what's so important. Like, you need to find what the other side of male life is. You need to find outside of gaming, alcohol, porn, lying in bed, watching TV, you need to find what else there is to do. Because for a lot of guys, there isn't a lot to do. There isn't much. And the 2 habits everyone does is, I'm going to work on my business, go to the gym. That's great, and I encourage that forever. But then you go, what else? You have to figure that shit out. You have to figure it out. Now, the problem is there's something called crossing the chasm. You use it in business, you can use it with everything, okay? Crossing the chasm is trying to go from like, we can do this, to massive gap. If I get here, everything's great. It happens in business where you have to bridge that gap between like new popular company, sustainable, and we can continue from there. That chasm is like, I mean, I genuinely think this whole industry's got that chasm in front of it right now, and whoever leaps is going to win the entire game, is going to own the entire industry, but it's making that leap and most people won't be able to do it. I think it's the same in male life, and I think that chasm is once you stop drinking, stop gaming, stop watching TV, stop doing all the stuff that is a waste of your time, you start improving, that's when you reach the chasm, because you go, what do I do for fun? You end up losing a bit of your social skills as well because you're working all the time, you're always on your own, everything's solitary. And it takes a few years to realize, like, no, I enjoy this more. Like, I used to feel bad about staying in on a Saturday night. I need to go out, enjoy myself. I'm boring. What am I doing? I'm getting old before my time. And then as time goes on, you go, no, this is what I need to be doing. This is way more fun. Like staying in and working on a business, because then once that business or 9-to-5 job goes to a higher level and you start making more money, because that's the chasm is financial, in my opinion, what you have, where you live, your assets. If you can move to like a major city, get a really nice house or something, you set yourself up, you have amazing life setup, you're confident enough now to marathon mindset and talk to loads of different people, you're going to make more friends, you're going to have more people in your life, you're going to have more women in your life that you can go on dates with, maybe one that, you know, just becomes your wife, girlfriend, whatever. Then suddenly the doors start opening up. Suddenly you start having this network of people that you can call on whenever you want. Like, I keep referencing it, but I swear it's not a sales pitch. 1M International. I meet guys from 1M International weekly. They're always messaging me like, I'm in London, like, are you around? I'm like, yeah, I'll pop down, I'll see you for a coffee. You know, you have people that you work on ideas with. It's just so much easier. This is life setup 101. Like I told you guys before, why do billionaires always buy women's fashion brands, or they buy, like Paul Marciano owns Guess. You know, he just dates all these beautiful women, sleeps with all these beautiful women all the time. He's done it for that reason. He's done it so that he can just meet up with them all the time. He can have an event. Anytime he gets bored, he just puts a show on. Everybody like shows up and he's just networking with everybody. This is why rich people host galas and like charity balls and stuff like that. It's just to create social events out of nothing. But you need money to be able to do this stuff. You know, by having an amazing business and be able to set these functions up. Like I've got my own fashion brand now, as you guys know. The trench coats, you can go and get them. They're on pre-order. I'll show you some pictures actually. We'll set something up. I don't think we got the link for them yet. It'll be coming very soon, but I'll just show you guys some pictures. You'll really like them. I might actually do a separate video on it so you guys can see them properly, so we can go through in detail and everyone can see what we're actually doing. But once you do something like that, like, okay, I need to do a fashion shoot this weekend. So let me hire like 3 or 4 like guys that I know who are, you know, great looking guys or models or whatnot. Now you're doing a constructive project on Saturday with 4 guys. And, you know, you just afterwards, you're like, hey, let's go and get some food. Let's just sit, let's have a chat. Let's just, you know, and then that night you're going out on a date. Suddenly you become active in a way that is actually correspondent with your new life. Like I said, when you're broke, when you're in the early days of your life, going out getting drunk is cheap. Playing video games is cheap. Watching TV is cheap. There's a lot of things you can do for cheap, but when you want more, when you want to go after more, you need to be more established. You need the money to have nicer shit. You need the money to be able to do cooler shit. You need those years in purgatory where you're locked in, saving, working on something, reinvesting, putting money back into something, building up your frame and your body to become the man that can then do the other side of male life, the next phase. So if any of you guys are sat there right now and you're thinking, that's me, you've literally described me. I'm in every Saturday night, I'm wondering what to do. I wake up Sunday morning with relief, knowing that the pressure's off. I used to go to bed 9 p.m. Saturday, hear everyone, as I said in the start of the video, in the alleyway, shouting, screaming, being sick, arguing. And I'd wake up Sunday morning in relief, because I'd be like, I didn't do any of that. I'm sober, I'm going down the gym. Sunday's my day. Sunday's like a day of, you go to the gym, you clean the house, like it's expected. So you feel like you belong in part of the world. You feel like you're a normal human being. But there was a time where like going to bed at 9 p.m. on a Saturday, I felt like a loser. Summer, especially 6 p.m. in summer, I was like, I'm a loser. I don't go out. I don't do anything. But I'd be working. I'd be hustling on that. Now my life is completely different. Now I'm probably too busy and I'm like, fuck, I could do with a couple of days just relaxing. But that's what's going to happen to you. So be grateful for those years where you're grinding, where you're building, you're putting everything in place. You're not a loser. And even though I've probably just described your situation there, don't feel a position of lack. Don't feel FOMO, because you genuinely aren't missing out on anything that's going to benefit you. And the majority of your life is going to be 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. That's when you're going to live. That's when you're going to enjoy. That's when it's going to be kids, meaningful relationships, assets, holidays, grandchildren, you know, the strongest friendships of your life, the greatest memories of your life, going to the nicest places, you know, the most significant birthdays and stuff like that. When you're not drunk, you actually remember things. You actually remember nights and stuff like that. It's entirely different. And it's, instead of sitting on a video game for hours at end, you're like, you've spent all that time learning the language, and then you've taken a trip to that country with your beautiful girlfriend, and you're fluent in the language. That is such a more rewarding experience to me than like leveling up on a video game. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to have those experiences as your mind evolves, as it changes. You have things that excite you a lot more. Getting up early, for example, like you get small wins in the tiny little daily things. And it's like with my business, I'll give you a good example. It used to just be me, 24/7. It was boring as shit. Now we've got 12 people that work with me every single day on different things, and they're all working on different projects. Anytime we want, we just do a team meetup. And we end up getting, one lives abroad, but there ends up being like 11 of us together. Anytime we want, we can just organize that and get everyone together. That's 11 like-minded friends that want to be around. And then other people, because they're all in 1MI, other people find out that that's what's going on, and they meet up as well. And we end up getting about 15, 20 of us hanging out whenever we want. Like, that's what happens when like-minded guys with the same mentality all come together. And I think that's the problem with for a lot of men. The masses, birds of a feather flock together. The masses just congregate. And if you're somebody who isn't into, I don't want to watch sports. I'm not worried about the big game that's on. I'm not worried about You know, did you hear about Lily Phillips slept with 1,000 men? I couldn't give a fuck. Mainstream news. Do you see what's happening in the news? No, couldn't give a shit. When you're that like outlier, where you live differently, you're focused on different shit, there's not many people like you. It takes time to become the man that you need to become so that other men who have become that guy as well, they recognize you. They look and they see you're in shape. They see you're in the gym every morning at 5 a.m. and they just gravitate. Like those two people will just join together. It's just human nature. Birds of a feather flock together is always used as a negative connotation, but it's a positive sense too when it's two successful guys that are like, hey, we're very similar. You know, or like, you're not successful yet. Because we got this in 1MI. We got guys that aren't successful yet. They're very young and they're not successful, but they believe that this would take them to the next level. Those guys are exactly the same as I was when I was younger, and I see that in them, so I want to hang out with them. I'm like, I want to hang out with that guy. I think he's cool. I like what he's about. He's not there yet. He's not the polished article, but he's exactly my type of person. And that's all it is, finding your people. And if you're on this channel, I've probably described you and I've probably described your weekends. I want you to stick in there. I want you to know that it does get better. I want you to know that we don't know how to live as men beyond a certain age. Even the men that look as though they've got it figured out, who are watching TV, going out and getting drunk, and it looks as though they've got a really cool life, they're just blocking shit out. They're just doing as much crazy fun shit as they can, dopamine filled shit as possible. Because in reality, they're bored, they're lost, and they're just filling space. It took me about 5-10 years to realize that. It wasn't until I was 25, 26, the start of the great male filter, where I started to see the signs of that. The guys that laughed at me and said I was boring were then drug addicts. They looked skinny as fuck, they looked terrible. I saw them in town, I'd give them a handshake, nearly crush their hands. And it was like, you look fucking terrible. A couple of them go to prison, and you realize you're just filling space. You're just passing time with addictions, with buzzes, with dopamine-filled activities. Like, you're bored, you're playing a video game. You're bored, you're getting drunk. You're bored, you do some drugs. You're bored, you sleep with 15 women in a month. And it's like, you're not actually getting any fulfillment or progression. You're just trying to fill a void. It's those between spaces, like I said. People don't know what to do in that middle ground. That's where so many men are lost. That's why I call it purgatory. Once you realize you can't do a lot of that stuff anymore, it isn't as fulfilling, or you don't get the leeway. You know, when you're like 18 and everyone's like, go out, get drunk, enjoy yourself, it's fine. Very much like Christmas. Once you get to about 22 and people go, getting a bit old for this, mate. For women, it's fine because they go, I got a purpose. I'm going to find a man. I'm going to get pregnant. I'm going to get married. I'm going to, hang out with the girls. Their social life's brilliant. They know exactly what they want from day one. As men, we're very solitary characters. High testosterone, if you're focused on yourself, drives people away because you don't stand for shit. But there's guys like you out there. And once you build these communities, once you bring these people together, you realize actually, this is my time to shine. Like I've always said, and I want to end on this, for a lot of you young guys that are suffering, who are like, it's just me, I feel like I'm on my own, I don't have a social life. Remember this, I'm going to end the video on this. Life isn't for you yet. In the 20s, teens, it's not your forte. I wasn't somebody who danced. I wasn't somebody who, liked to jump on the dance floor and start popping shapes in certain songs. Like, I realized life wasn't for me yet. I've never taken drugs in my life apart from weed. And I just realized young, life isn't for me yet. My time is later on down the line. I know how to live here. This is my home turf. This age now, 32, this is home turf for me. This is my home stadium. This is where I live. This is where I thrive. This is the kind of stuff that I'm good at, that I'm comfortable in. This is my home stadium. It's the same for a lot of you guys. Life isn't for you yet. Stick it out, wait in there, see what happens in the future. I promise you it will get better. Speak to you guys soon. Have a good one.